You're listening to Cain, Randy, and Brooke on Scratch the Vinyl.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Scratch the Vinyl. We're back. You made it back for another week, and we're glad that you did. It's Brooke's birthday today, so it's a special day. I'm going to sing it for you. Say it's your birthday. Da-na-na-na-na-na. It's Brooke's birthday, too. We got Brooke in the house, the red-lipped lady. We got Randy, the Godzilla of all of entertainment. I'm not just saying Lincoln, I'm saying everywhere. And we have another awesome guest. I'm Cain Stevens, of course. And let's not waste the sauce. Let's get into it with our guest here. So we have a special guest. He's currently playing in, I believe, PERM. So let's bring him on. Levi Bradis, how are you doing?
Oh, good. How are you guys doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing wonderful. I don't feel any older. Just kidding. Yes, I do. I had to jump out of bed and my hip went out of socket. And then I'm only 26.
I've been following Levi's little musical career for a while. And first off, Levi, thanks for coming on the show. And, you've been a very big supporter at a lot of my shows. And I feel it's time we finally have you on Scratch the Vinyl. So how you doing, man?
Oh, I appreciate it. I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. Prairie Psycho and Blowing Chunks, who are very good alternative bands. Blowing Chunks is more of a hardcore punk rock band with a female singer, and they know how to tear it up. That's for sure.
Who's all in your band?
PERM, we're just a two-piece. It's me and Marissa Kibbe. Marissa, we've been pretty good friends for a long time, probably since I want to say the early 2000s. And we've been in bands over the years that have always kind of supported each other, booking shows for each other. And then things kind of got to a point where I was kind of a little disenfranchised about singing and playing guitar at the same time. I was kind of like a one-man band for quite a while, put out some albums. And I just kind of got a little frustrated with basically the songwriting process to a certain degree. I just kind of wanted to focus more on music, and I kind of chatted with Marissa, hey, I got these tunes here. You feel like laying down some vocals on them, and things just kind of developed from there. We started jamming, and then it's kind of progressed into 3 albums so far. So, yeah, I can't complain about that.
So this new album, Cat Lady, you wrote all these songs?
Lyrically, Marissa wrote the songs. I composed the music in PERM.
Gotcha.
So
That's awesome.
I do the drums, the bass, the guitar, synth. That's all me in that regard.
So what kind of genre do you consider this album?
Cat Lady is more of it's more of a rockin' album. PERM, we try to be really eclectic as a band. We try to. I like mutating different genres of music. It's something we're basically, I enjoy the history of music throughout the 1900s and 2000s. It's kind of cool to have, being at the time I am in my music career, where basically I can actually, visit a genre and when it's done, it sounds pretty authentic. When I was younger, it was always kind of, I would say it's more of a Clash thing where hey, this sounds like something, but there's always that tinge of punk rock to it, and over the time as I've matured as a musician, it's kind of owned its own craft to sounding a little bit more authentic to the genres that we visit. So, there's some elements there where we have with the PERM album where we have elements of almost kind of like a new wave synthesizer element. There's elements of rockabilly. There's elements of punk rock. So it's pretty all over the place, which something that we like. And working with Marissa, working with a female vocalist, it kind of opens myself up to being able to explore those different genres and basically kind of get into different craft of stuff that I personally can't sing, but with her it allows us to kind of visit those genres a little bit more.
Yeah, I tell you what, I of course, I was fortunate enough. You gave me an early copy of the whole album, and I listened to it top to bottom, and yeah, I was blown away with there was all these different elements. So I was kind of curious how you kind of were labeling as the whole genre, because it did have those feels of that punk feel with a little rockabilly, and I guess authentic is the best way to describe it. But it is a very solid album, top to bottom. I listened to every track and got I was like more impressed every song that was going on. I was like, wow, this is really, really, really solid. So, great job on the new album, man.
Over the years, like I kind of started kind of self-recording stuff like way back when I was 16. The band I was in at that point, we kind of a friend had like a dual well tape deck, and we just hooked that up into like a PA system, and we were able to record basically like this kind of this demo album. And from there I kind of got more interested in recording, and it's kind of just matured from using really lo-fi, you know like the element of basically it's sounding, the recordings kind of sound more raw, and I think over time, with technology finally catching up, with its affordability, now I'm able to kind of accomplish a little bit more of, I don't want to say like, something that sounds mainstream, but like, it's something that, like the recordings sound more polished in that regard, but that's something I've always kind of learned that sometimes, if you have really raw talent and it will supersede, like a basic recording, if the talent is there. I mean, you could put 40 vocal mic tracks on an album and, have all this fluff. And at the end, I mean, if it doesn't have any heart and integrity, it's just a commodity, and that's, I think, something over the years, that to my advantage now that, like with stuff I think is, cutting edge technology, which really isn't, it's something that, having that knowledge, I can make, pretty basic recording stuff sound pretty good, and, and as time has gone on, I feel that, I'm reaching a level here where, I could see, a lot of these songs, could get airplay and stuff like that. So I'm happy with the direction that's going. And if you follow my timeline of, albums I've put out, you can see definitely an evolution. You see a maturity going on, and and that's why I continue to do music. I mean, a lot of people, like when I was younger, my peers, over time, they've moved on. They've kind of treated the music thing as, as a hobby, which sometimes it can evolve into. But I feel, like as long as there's progression, as long as there's something improving, I'm going to continue to do it.
It sounds like your genre it could go on almost any radio station, and that's really smart on your part. You could get airplay
Yeah,
everywhere, and that'd be. I mean, a lot of musicians
Yeah.
do that, and I think that's pretty badass. And you seem like a very seasoned musician. You have all different kinds of ways you play, different instruments, and you're talking about being a kid and like starting. And what was that moment or that time when you were a kid, or what inspired you to actually say, I'm going to stick with this and keep going? Because some people, kids will start something and they'll do something and then but you just kept going. And now you have records. And I mean, we've heard you perform and you're really good. And what inspired you?
Oh boy, a lot of that is actually it's been a lot of like, like besides musical influence, a lot of it's been, kind of triumph over tragedy in that regard. What kind of got me into the direction of music is like basically in my early upbringing, like unfortunately, like my parents passed away in a motorcycle accident, and that's something that basically, me and my older sister at the time, we kind of bounced around from family to family, and ultimately, my grandparents took us in, and like my grandma was very hip for being an older person. She listened to like a lot of like she listened to a lot of college radio, which kind of surprised me, especially, growing older. We kind of like shared same musical taste to a certain degree. And my sister being 4 years older than me, I mean, she was a little bit more, like in the early days, she was really, it's more like new wave, like, kind of like more Duran, Cyndi Lauper. And then kind of going into her teenage years, kind of getting more into heavier stuff like Black Sabbath, like heavy metal. And, that's something, me being younger, just playing with toys, and her, like robbing Columbia House for like the 1 cent for the 15 albums. I think I talked her into getting me a couple albums from Columbia House, and I think I was Weird Al Yankovic's "Dare to Be Stupid" and the Ghostbusters soundtrack. I think were the first albums I personally bought as a kid.
Those are Cain's classic albums. He loves those.
And I think I have them on vinyl, to be honest. I'm waiting for my bucket list of Weird Al coming back through. I got to see Weird Al at least once live, man. Obviously you appreciate Weird Al, Levi.
Yeah, like a lot of music at that point in my life, I really wasn't into heavy metal at that point, or like a lot of the 80s rock. I was actually a little bit more into like, I don't know, more like hip hop and like rap stuff. And then like things kind of matured a little bit better, or I would say better, but just in my life, regards to like unfortunately, like when I was like 12, like my sister, who was 4 years older than me, she passed away in a car accident. So that really kind of brought me and my grandparents really closer together. And like in that community, boy, of the small town I grew up in, I mean, they were very supportive of what happened over the years. And it's something there, where when that happened, like I was basically looking for an outlet to kind of channel a lot of that negative energy. And it's something there, like at that point, my grandpa and I had bought an apartment complex, and when I was 16, they let me basically have a 2-bedroom basement apartment to myself. Where basically that's really where I kind of started honing my craft as a musician. I kind of just basically got into guitar. After that, I kind of got into playing bass and then drums. Then I bought a PA system. People who were kind of a little bit more like-minded musically. I kind of, we would kind of jam, and things kind of just evolved from there, from being a musician. So, a lot of it was basically like, I try to, when I play guitar, especially when I solo, I really try to channel a lot of that negative energy and spit it out. And I think that's what kind of makes me unique as a guitarist, is basically I can basically just kind of just have the swarm of bees solo stuff that kind of basically just is just really emotional, and the people that actually get it, I get to see it in their eyes, and people are kind of, hey, it's music, or, don't know the whole thing, they're kind of like, wow, you shredded a guitar, and I appreciate that, it's something that people that do get it, they understand. And so, yeah, I'll let you guys chime in here, and I apologize for blabbing so much here.
Never apologize, man. I mean, you're our guest. You're giving us so much insight. I mean, me personally, as a musician, I understand where you're coming from on taking the darkness and making something out of it, right? I really do appreciate. I feel it because I play some lead too. When I pick up a guitar, all of the sadness and everything goes away for that amount of time. So I definitely feel you on that. But let me ask you about like recording in general. Like I know a lot of people can't afford to go to the studio and make that extra step to, you know what I mean? It's a big jump to
Yeah.
spend all that money on the hope that people are going to listen to a couple of your songs. I think you're kind of doing what I'm doing. You're making the most out of the least in some ways. You're playing all the instruments. You're doing all this, and I got to give you kudos for that. But for you, how hard of a process has it been? I mean, you kind of dove into it earlier. I know when I listen to my early work, I cringe at my demo albums. I'll call them demo albums because that's literally what they were.
Yeah, like I say right now, I mean, like like with what I use recording, I mean, I'm spoiled now. I mean, like, that have the ability to actually overdub and things like that. I mean, those are things where, those things didn't exist. I mean, you had to basically be a very trained musician and not mess up through an entire song, and if you did, you started over, you played the song again. I mean, and that's the thing, like, there's a lot more, like with today's recording, you can get a lot done, but like an older recording, I mean, it trains you to be a better musician, and like, and the element of like, like with those songs, like it became a little bit easier to transition from the recording aspect to playing live, just because you're more trained. Basically, it's just that repetitiveness, and now with the luxury of being able to, hey, I got these 4 measures here, hell, here's our verse. Oh, let's do this. We got this line here for a chorus, and you kind of just stitch it together now. And I find that, amazing, and it allows you to get a lot more done in that aspect. That's for sure.
Well, I was going to touch on, this, what you're doing now where you don't do any of the singing, dude, you got an amazing voice. I love all the stuff you do. And I guess you kind of shocked me a little bit when you said you kind of lean more into the rap and that genre over some of the other stuff that I probably would have labeled you in. But I mean, I guess you do a lot of Beastie Boys, so I guess it does kind of make sense a little bit.
Yeah, I think like the whole like thing, like when I turned 12 and my sister passed away. I mean, that's what really kind of got me more into that grunge movement, like that kind of, brought like, hey, instead of this, butt rock, where people are writing these songs about getting laid and stuff like that, there was a deeper meaning of songwriting, I think, with that grunge movement. That's what kind of drew me to that, I think, and that, and like, I don't know, I think like, right now, you kind of see a lot of division just in general. I think, in the 90s, I think, especially musically, I think everything was more open-minded. I mean, you had like, the dawning of, like the Lollapaloozas, where that was a lot of different elements and genres of music kind of just working together, and that's something that, that whole element of the 90s thing seemed to be, you had rap groups, basically playing with thrash metal groups and collaborating together. When you think about the Judgment Night soundtrack, where you had like, the who's who of alternative rock, working with the who's who of, hip hop, and rap. I mean,
Have you got to travel a lot, like with your music, and like, I don't know, go beyond Nebraska, or have you, done any shows anywhere else, or just you stick?
I would definitely love to branch out. Like, I only got to move to like, I moved to Phoenix, Arizona for a little bit, for a short stint. And like, I was in a punk rock group called Once Upon in the early 2000s, where I played bass in that group. And they traveled. So I got to go out of Nebraska a little bit. I always thought, like, if you fight the dream, like one day, what you own as your craft, you can see the sights and scenes of Americana and get paid for it.
Right. And it's kind of like when you're a kid.
Some people think of that as a pipe dream, but hey, it could still happen.
Yeah, why not? Well, it's like when you're a kid and you're like, I'm going to go on a vacation, and you have like $12 in your pocket, and somehow you make it. And then, or you have your Scooby van like Cain did, or whatever it is, and you're just hoping to God that it starts. But I do have a question though, as to follow up with that. So you got to travel around a little bit, because I hear a lot of stories about people meeting like crazy people or something, just insane happening. Is there a particular moment where you were like on stage doing something or meeting someone and you're like, what in the hell? And it was like a cool memory.
Yeah, I have some interesting stories. Like, when I first, Omaha was the first metropolitan city I moved to, and that was kind of the height. Like, I moved there in '99. Like, it was me and some mutual friends. We decided, basically, we saved some money. It's like, hey, let's get out of Western Nebraska. Let's see if we can, we can make something of ourselves. like the early stages of playing. Like there's this place like man, I went through so many venue names. I think at that time it was called Morgan's Lounge in Omaha. It became Shay Riley's Pub after that, I believe, and it became something else. But like they had a really, it was a stage. But like we were playing one night and I was like just jumping up and down on stage, and like I fell through the stage. I think like the stage is made out of particle board or something. And like a lot of people thought I went down to my knees, like yeah, I'm doing like some epic like guitar solo, but nope, I just fucking caved through the stage. And like I totally picked myself out, and I totally like just like scraped like a huge gash. I had this open wound on my leg, and we're like 2 songs into like the set, and like an idiot, I decided to wear like a suit backwards for this show. So like I lift my leg out, and there's a bunch of like fucking insulation and stuff like on my leg from like from the what's inside the stage. So yeah, that felt really good.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. It's how you're describing it. I can just see you down there going, "Oh shit!" But the show must go on, and you're up there. There's
The show did go on, and I did not. I winced in pain, but I finished that fucking solo.
Good. See, the show must go on. I had a friend. He fell off the stage with his friend's guitar, and he was more worried about the guitar, and he flipped over, landed on his back, and grabbed a beer while he's falling, has the beer and the guitar, and he's laying there, and he goes, "I did it." And we were like, "Did he practice this?" No, he legit, and he just kept playing on the ground.
Save the guitar and the beer.
Yes, the beer like fell. Like he went to go like grab the stage. He grabbed the beer instead, fell back. It is I'm trying to find the video. It was the funniest thing, but he saved it all. Show kept going. He kept playing. I picture you, same thing. You're probably down in the, underneath. And then like, would have been cool if somebody got under there, was like lifting you back up like a show. You're like, "Here I am."
This is when the venues start thinking insurance claim. They're like, "Oh my God, you went through the stage." You probably could have got your biggest payout that night if you didn't know it.
Yeah, they offered me like, so like, "Oh, you want to go to the doctor?" I'm like, no.
Well, you just wrapped it up, and you were fine, and the show went on.
The humble beginnings of like actually playing in the city, like in Omaha, like our first big break was playing at the Ranch Bowl, and like I had given a CD to somebody that worked there. Like this was actually back when like the band I was in, this is before like home recording was kind of big. We'd actually bought like studio time, which is something that you rarely see anymore. Like that was kind of the band's making a demo. That's like, something's happening. Now when a band like me, we got them, like, sure, okay, whatever. But like but yeah, like we invested like almost like $600-700 to make like a 4-track demo at this. It was a pretty big studio called Warehouse Studios in Omaha. Once again, that's something where you being a trained musician, like with that, you have to do, to get the most out of it, you have to do stuff one take, and if you don't, then the album's not going to sound as good.
So you played,
like you're there, you've compromised. Basically, you're going to have less songs on your album because you have to fix stuff.
Yeah, and you don't want to just throw shit out there either. You want it to be exactly how you see it or feel it or want it. And I know you play at the Zoo Bar a lot, and you have a show coming up. I know you said it earlier, and are you opening, or are you playing the whole set, or what's going on? I want to go.
Yeah, we're the middle band. So like Prairie Psycho is going to open. We're playing second, and Blowing Chunks is going to close the show. So yeah, like we'll have about a 40-minute set. So like we'll play the full Cat Lady album.
Like you'll have stuff we can buy. Like, will you have it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like actually, I'll say like more than like I'm gonna do like a limited run of CDs from our first 2 albums. So that will be for sale as well as kind of a limited run we'll do. We had 2 EPs that we did beforehand that are on Bandcamp, but sometimes people want to have that physical medium. So we'll offer that as well. And we'll have some shorts as well. Shorts, not shorts. Shorts.
Like, shorts? Does it have your name on it? Like, do you have boxer shorts? You can make all kinds of stuff. In fact, I like your hats. You need to make some really cool, like, with your name on it. I'd have Le PERM on my
Well,
hat.
cat pants with a tail. We know somebody that would get those.
My sister. In a heartbeat.
All right, this is as good a time as any to go ahead and talk about the sponsors that we have, the people who keep this show going, and then we'll get into the local roundup. We'll talk about things going on, people, places, things, and all sorts of great stuff happening here in our town, Lincoln. And then we'll get back to our guest, Levi Bradis. Welcome to the Late Late Show with your host, Squatch.
Welcome to the show, everybody. We have a controversial guest tonight. He claims to have the world's smelliest beard and doesn't plan to do anything about it in the foreseeable future. Let's bring him on right now. He wants to be brought on by what he goes by on his socials, Toxic Beard 87.
Hey, calm down. Don't hate the smells if it sells.
Hello, my toxic friend. Let me ask you something. With brands like the Elegant Sasquatch Beard Company, why do you choose to smell like a rotten egg on Easter?
It all started when I was 16 years old. My beard was growing like a forest full of pine trees, and it was time for me to find a delicious scent to make Cindy Jo fall in love with me. I found a beard oil in a store, and I thought for sure she was going to be mine. I caked it on, and I was so proud of the way I smelled and how I looked. As soon as I saw Cindy Jo, I went running over to her, but instead of her embracing me and taking me in, she told me to go away and told me I smelled terrible. It was the worst day of my life. It was right then that I vowed that I would never put another product in my beard again. And so here I am, Toxic Beard Guy 87, and I'm not going anywhere.
Well, if I'd gone through that, it'd been tough for me to show my face again, too. But luckily, there's companies like the Elegant Sasquatch Beard Company that have multiple products that'll have girls like Cindy Jo melting in the palm of your hand.
Sasquatch, do you really think that there's a product for me?
Yes, my friend. There are beard balms, beard oils, beard butters, and beard washes that will make your whiskers the talk of the town. You'll be smelling like a dozen roses, and you'll be looking the best you've ever looked.
I would give anything to get Cindy Jo to talk to me just once again. Where can I get this amazing product?
Head on over to elegantsasquatchco.etsy.com and find yourself getting lost in the amount of items that they have to offer, including beard boxes as well, with the full line of some of their favorite products.
There's only one thing left to do. I'm going to go over to Etsy right now, and I'm going to buy as much product as I can, and I'm going to find Cindy Jo, and I'm going to win her over. Thanks again, Squatch.
You heard it here, folks. We changed his mind. Next on the show, we'll have a doll with an eating disorder. Then we'll have squirrels riding skateboards. Till then, head on over to Etsy right now. Tell them that the Scratch the Vinyl podcast sent you.
All right, let's get into the local roundup. There's a ton going on, as always, here in this fine town that we call Lincoln, we call home. Let's get into it. So first off, let's start a Friday night at Gray's Keg. You know where Gray's Keg is. It's right there on O Street. It's just off the beaten path of all those bars. Just keep walking a little bit further and you're going to find an amazing place. So they've got a rockin' lineup. Friday night at 8 p.m. They've got Nebraska Grease and Power, a tribute to soul, rhythm and blues band, Tower Power. They're a 10-piece horn band. They're making a lot of killer noises, a lot of joyful noises that make you want to just keep rocking it all night long. I know that that's going to be an awesome show, so go there. Saturday night at 8 p.m., they've got Smutty Bingo. That's right, Smutty Bingo's back, and they're giving out those naughty prizes for all you adults who want some adult fun. Go there. Once again, that's 8 p.m., and that's going to be another great time. I think people are loving that. The Zoo Bar's got a rockin' lineup this weekend, so let's get into it. Friday night at 5 p.m. for the FAC. They've got Orphan John and the Abandoned. 9 p.m. they've got the Roe Heppel Band. Then Saturday at 5 p.m. they've got Womanish Girl And then at 9 p.m., it's a $10 cover. We've got our guest and his band, PERM. They've got their album release going on with Prairie Psycho and Blowing Chunks. That is going to be an absolutely epic show. So get out there. Once again, that's 9 p.m. It's a $10 cover. You can afford it, everybody. Go cash those pennies in and go have the time of your life. Also Friday night from 12 a.m. to 3 a.m., Friday night, Saturday morning, I will personally be, me, Cain Stevens, I'll be on KZUM 89.3 FM on the Metal Manifesto show. That's right. I'll be co-hosting with John Cruz, the Metal Maniac himself, and we have curated an amazing playlist of all your face-melting metal. So please tune into that as I talk about my upcoming EP, the Trustfall EP, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So, man, there's a lot of stuff to do. Hey, maybe you guys are leaving the bars after these shows, especially then on that night. Tune in, everybody. Tune in and just listen to everything that's going on. And I want to thank John for I think he's coming in the studio here pretty soon. So it's going to be good to see what he does and then him see what we do. So that's what we have. Some of the honorable mentions of our sponsors out there are Backtrack Records. Backtrack Records is right there in the heart of Northeast Lincoln. It's right there next to Let's Talk Bowling, and it is my new favorite spot to go get a bunch of records. I just got some the other day, and I'm telling you, if you guys don't get there, I'm just going to buy it all. So we have that. We have Kelly's Pub just down the street. We love Kelly's Pub. They're kind of our home away from home. Also, Madsen's Bowling and Billiards. They've got Rock and Bowl every week. So go there for that. I know there's a lot of big things happening there. Roots Music Shop for all you musicians. Get out there, musicians. If you need your instruments fixed, especially your guitars set up, if you need an amp, you can buy, sell, and trade. Go there. Talk to Ryan. And now, everybody, let's get back to our guest, Levi Bradis.
I don't know why, but I think since we started doing this, we started talking about a lot of, friends we knew that were in bands and doing actual music at the time. You were probably at the top of my list, wasn't it, Cain? I mean, I brought you up and said, look, Levi's still out there, grinding to the zoo bar on Wednesday night every once in a while, still trying to put out music. And being a year, we've been putting out, a podcast now for over a year now. And so I feel like it's about damn time we've had you on the show. And
yeah, it's kind of interestingly, you're talking about the drumstick on Wednesday a little bit. My one of my managers, her family, I believe they own the drumstick. And knowing a little bit of my punk rock history, a lot of great bands played that venue, and sadly living in the Panhandle, I missed all of that, but moving out here, it's kind of cool to see the history that Lincoln and Omaha had for the for the music scene, and and you kind of look at Lincoln, what they had. I mean, it almost superseded a bit what Omaha was doing, Omaha had places like, the Cog Factory, stuff like that for more underground punk rock bands. But you think of, Lincoln, it had, the Drumstick, had Knickerbockers,
it had the Brickyard. There was a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Henry Rollins mentions the Drumstick. Sadly, I think it's one of Rollins' books. But he talks about doing a solo show at the Drumstick, and he was looking. I guess during that show, I guess he was looking for a crime scene. Apparently, somebody committed suicide in that parking lot.
Yeah, in the Kmart parking lot.
Yeah, and I guess Henry Rollins was snooping around looking for the crime scene. Apparently,
he talks about wanting to find the brain matters, basically.
Yeah, I believe, yes, you're correct.
I swear she said that he did. They heard oh yeah, he found brain matter. I'm was there still tape or I don't. I want to see where this happened. I remember not liking to go to Kmart, but I'm sure there's more crazier people out there than just the people that like to go find brain matter. I mean, Cain likes to go find ghosts.
I haven't found any brain matter yet. If I did, I would add it to mine. So
Things have gotten worse since there's no longer any blue light specials. If you remember, Kmart had the old blue light special. It's like police sirens, like
Yes.
attention Kmart shoppers, we have a discount on socks on aisle 5.
Yeah, yes. And when we would go there, my brother, he'd always get inside, like where they'd go, and he'd go over there, and mom was like, "Get over here right now. And if you go away one more time, I'm just gonna leave you." Because we were from the Panhandle to a small town, and so we were raised differently. So he was running around Kmart, and all of a sudden she couldn't find him, yelling for him, and he's in, hiding somewhere, running off over in a different department, probably in the bra section. And we left him, and he walked home, and she goes, "You'll never do that again now, will you?" Nope, he never did that again. But he's like, "I like the lights." That fucking blue light special.
I always wanted to hide in there long enough, like on Saved by the Bell or something, until everybody left, and then I could like run buck wild through Kmart.
There's a few movies that do that. You know what? Maybe we should do that. I don't know.
Black flag to blue light specials. This is this is what you get on Scratch the Vinyl today.
You could have
when it's Brooke's birthday. We just let everything go.
And I bought a lot of alternative albums at the Kmart, man.
Yes, absolutely. You could have a song called Blue Light Special and talk about brain matter.
Man, like I'm trying to think the most like underground album I ever bought at a Kmart, I think, was a Mudhoney album. There was a Mudhoney album called Piece of Cake. And I think it was there for a long time. Nobody bought it. It was there for $3.
See, you can find all kinds of stuff.
Blue light special. This album just went from $3 to 12 cents. Please, somebody take it off the shelf.
Man, I think about growing up in the 80s, the town I grew up in, Alliance, Hemingford's town I grew up in, but Alliance is 20 miles away. That's where a lot of people went to get their groceries or their clothes shopping. But man, I remember they were back in the day, Alliance, a town of about 9,000, 10,000 people. It had a Kmart, it had an Alco, and a Pomida. And you had three, and you had 3 or 4 grocery stores on top of that.
When you're from a small town, though, it's a big deal. A Pomida.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, was from Gordon, Nebraska. So Alliance is where I did gymnastics. I know exactly. Yeah,
okay, right on.
That Kmart too.
Well, I was going to ask you, speaking of buying, vinyls at Kmart. So do you still have a vinyl collection?
Yeah, I have a pretty decent vinyl collection. It's crazy to go to Walmart now and see a vinyl, a pretty, I would say big vinyl collection, but they have an actual section where they sell vinyl now, and it's a total it's a total 360. When I was growing up, vinyl was kind of getting a little phased out by cassettes. And then you see cassettes get phased out by CDs, and now you're seeing, basically, because of your MP3 and your internet revolution there, the CDs went away, but now vinyl is kind of crutching back a bit, which is interesting, to see something that was, a disregarded medium come back again.
Well, we talk about it all the time. I mean, that's kind of how this show got developed, because me and Cain had this super love of what it meant to go to the record store, find an album, bring it home. You got all the words. There's always something to the album or the inside cover or the lyrics or whatever. and playing an album all the way through and hearing that sound in our headsets and finding those hidden gems. And I think that's why it's coming back, because there is a need for that experience when it comes to music.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
and I tell kids, they're really spoiled, man. Like I remember, like like in the growing up in the '90s, to find living in Alliance, to find like 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 an album that has more of like a like more of a band that's a little more underground, that you wouldn't find at the Kmart's or the Pomidas or Alcos. It was kind of a sacred journey that I had to travel like 60 miles to go to like an independent record store, or basically a chain store that would actually carry more of like underground bands, or more bands that would have like the parental advisory stuff on it, and something that it was kind of a sacred journey. Hey, like you get your friends, hey, let's do this, and you go down there, you score some albums, and you drive that 60 miles, and you get to listen to those albums, and enjoy the the way down. It's now everything is basically kind of at your fingertips, regards to like, oh, I could just watch it on YouTube, or I can just do this. I'll sit through an ad so I can listen to my album, and it kind of sucks, because like you it kind of takes it takes some of the soul out of the music, by far. Like I really think just having that tangible physical medium, like it's something that it's something like the internet can always go away. If something happens where there's some sort of outage, or unless you have that stuff backed up, you no longer have access to any of that. So having something in the vault is always a good thing.
Well, what happens in every post-apocalyptic movie or show, right? Everything goes black, and what do the cool people do? They go and raid the record stores and everywhere else, right? And they build this massive collection. So if this happens for me, I'm getting a battery, I'm getting some cords, I'm going to set up a stereo, and I'm going to raid every single area I can for vinyl. That's my big idea.
Cain, I feel like you're going to go to like a estate sale, and you and Coriel are going to fight over them. That's what's going to happen.
He ain't going to a estate sale. He's just going to load up the whole truck.
We'll call it. Yeah, we call it a estate sale, but there might be zombies there, and there might be people, raping and pillaging, but it'll be fine. You'll get all of it.
Some call it looting. I call it borrowing for a long time.
I'm borrowing this for my person my neighbor. I'm borrowing this from my mom. Cain, I'm going to borrow some of your vinyls.
The estate sale sounds like a good band name.
That could be a good band name.
I think the Prince said something like that too. Estate sale.
But you know what, Levi, you're spot on though. Seriously, like we've been doing a lot of research lately on a lot of the history of these underground places and the bands that played there and the type of music. Like this is a time period when I was just coming through junior high and high school, and I love this stuff. Like just like what you're talking about. It was like I was getting tired of just kind of what the mainstream was pushing out, and then you start. I had good friends that were kind of leading me to this, underground scene and alternate music. Basically, we had so many genres in the '80s. It was nuts. But if you could go find those albums, you could go home and put on the headphones by yourself and didn't succumb to the peer pressure of your friends telling you what kind of music you should listen to. And I don't know. I think it was kind of invaluable to growing up that way.
Kind of got mocked for a lot of the music I listened to, because like I had my phase there where I kind of like was kind of getting more into stuff like like Depeche Mode and the Outfield, stuff like that, and like a lot of the jocks like, what are you listening to that stuff for, like You're listening to Motley Crue.
I got to go see the outfield in Florida, Tampa, Florida, with Bon Jovi and Van Zandt. Ticket price $4.
Wow.
And
Man.
it rained. It was a hell of a show. Like, people have no idea. People are willing to pay $150 for nosebleed seats now at an arena. But I tell you what, there was nothing like that time period for the rock experience. And or, like you said, some of these alt bands or different genre music that were kind of filtering through the United States. And you could see them cheap. I mean, that whole story about the drumstick is all these basically punk rock bands that were making a name for themselves kind of right into that 90s grunge era. They played at a chicken restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, just to get their music out. But you know what? The people showed up. And
that chicken restaurant treated them pretty good.
Right. Well, like, some of those bands, they were just, hey, when you were touring across the United States, if you could make just enough gas money to get there and somebody would feed you, you feel like you made it.
Levi, you need to bring some chicken, maybe, or I could bring lasagna and feed all of your have like a buffet for everyone.
He's only got one bandmate.
Yeah. If you come see La PERM, you get lasagna.
Oh, we can make a Garfield themed thing.
Yes. Why not?
I will say, Levi, I was somewhere not that long ago, and I ran into a girl had one of your concert shirts. I saw the cat face on the black shirt, and I'm like, "Are you a fan of La PERM?" She, "Oh yeah." I'm like, she's like, "Nobody else would know that."
Right on. Actually, old Russ Lessinger from Black Blake, he did those shirts for us, the black ones with the
nice
with the white. So yeah, like shout out to him. Like that boy's doing good things in this community. But what were we talking about there? I'm sorry.
Everything. This is what happens when we start talking about food. You start talking about food with Brooke.
Oh yeah.
Her head goes straight to lasagna.
The buffet. The reason why I don't want to do the buffet thing, like the buffet might become bigger. So then the opening, the headline will be the buffet, and then we're the buffet, and then La PERM. It's like like Spinal Tap.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be wonderful of you. I'd go to see you guys, but I like lasagna, so I can hook you up there. And then we need to swap T-shirts because I know my sister would probably actually borrow it as well. Because as you said,
we need to just buy one for Ingrid.
Yeah.
So shout out to Brooke's sister Ingrid. She is a cat loving fan and is a big music fan, and so
she'll meow meow. That's
actually the whole La PERM imagery thing is basically like Marissa the singer, like she's a big cat lady. She has 5 cats, and I was thinking like, let's throw some cat imagery with the band, and like and we were looking up a kind of like rare breeds of cats, and like and for some reason like this name La PERM showed up. I was like, this is our name. This is the name of the band because it has kind of, I don't know, it kind of has like a cool like Euro-ish kind of a name. I don't know.
I like it. La PERM, lasagna, I think you have your number one fan though is going to be Ingrid, and she will dress up like you said in her little cat outfit or with like a tail. Oh yeah, meow meow.
Well, nice. We'll have to. Maybe we'll work a music video or something.
We should. We could do it at Kelly's, and she could dress up while she's bartending. Randy could do karaoke, and then we'll have lasagna there, and you could just play your whole set instead of karaoke. Or you can have, I could get up and help you sing. Just kidding.
Well, can you do Beastie Boys?
I've heard some of those amazing Brooke duets.
What you want?
Yeah, we're sorry for that, Levi. But...
no, see.
Oh, it's a hoot.
Okay, I'm practicing.
That is mine and Brooks. That is our thing at karaoke is we're the terrible duet. And it's for everyone else's entertainment or cringe purposes, period.
We get a lot of people that they laugh and laugh, and then I'm like, what are you laughing at? It's not supposed to be funny. Gosh. Just kidding. Yeah, that's the whole point. It's so much fun.
We all know you're a serious artist, Brooke.
Super serious.
Super serious.
I always like to talk about looking back, like in the element of like bands getting movies. Like in the 80s, it's really big. Like, hey, this band's putting out a movie. Like one of my favorites is the Fat Boys Disorderlies movie. If remember Disorderlies.
Hold on. Oh my God. You are the only person in this entire world that knows what that is. I tell people, I'm like, you remember License to Drive? It was the same time. Do you remember, and I'm like, Disorderlies, the three guys that were nurses and had to take care. Hello, you are like, now you're like you were already a 10. Now you're like a 5 billion. Disorderlies. Yes.
That's kind of like on the same height as like, Weird Al Yankovic's, UHF. It's like, but I remember like watching that with my grandparents would let me watch a lot of HBO as a kid. I mean, I got to watch like all the like, the late night stuff as well. I mean, like a lot of the stand-up specials but man, Disorderlies would come on a lot and we would watch that.
My dad figured out how to like record it. So we had it on a VHS and it was License to Drive and Disorderlies, and then there was Sinbad, but like the real old Sinbad.
Yeah, not like comedian Sinbad.
Yeah, not like that. No, it was like literally Sinbad the Sailor Man. Well, that's Popeye, but same thing. And,
yeah.
And we would watch it over and over, and I almost had that whole movie down. Me and my brothers, we'd sit there and we'd do the because they had their song or whatever. I gotta find that VHS. I know my dad still has it. That's insane.
Oh, if you're going to mention those, then you might as well mention Kid and Plays movies, right? I mean, House Party, Class Act.
Yeah.
I was watching HBO at that time too, and those Disorderlies, yes, all those were on there. They were such amazing movies, man.
Well, I hate to say it, but we knew this was going to happen. Of course, we always bring out somebody as fun as Levi is. That time is going to go by really quick. And so first off, Levi, again, man, I want to just say thanks for taking a little time out of your busy schedule and coming to hang out with us today here on Scratch the Vinyl. And again, you guys, if the listeners have made it this far, survived Brooke's lasagna and her birthday. Actually, I think she's pretty good today for her birthday. Sometimes she gets out there on her birthday, but
I'm
check
not
out,
drunk yet.
with this, when you get a chance to hear this, check out Levi's show at the zoo, Saturday the 5th, PERM. It's well worth it if you guys are looking for some serious, alt music that touches on everything with great musicianship and a great lead vocal. Yeah, go check this out.
Yep. Like if you want to check out our albums, leperm.bandcamp.com. Check that out. You'll be able to see we have 2 EPs and the full-length album. So yeah, feel free to check that out. And if you want to check out some of my solo stuff as well, you can check out levibradis.bandcamp.com as well. I'm actually in the process of actually kind of rebranding some of this. I've kind of reviewed some of my solo stuff a bit, and I'm going to probably put out like a greatest hits of a lot of that material. I'm kind of in the process of kind of mastering some of that stuff. So I kind of have like a lot of the best of the lo-fi recordings I've done over the years. And so, yeah, that'll be available soon as well.
Awesome. Well, this is another great one, everybody. I'm glad you guys stuck through it this far. Tune in next week for another awesome episode of
Scratch the Vinyl.